then yeah, 20. It'll be a 20-minute ritual.
Yep.
Sort of just.
So you guys all
Yeah.
see Axel madly scratching on the ground, making these weird, and as you look at them, almost unsettling markings. There's something that you can tell. This is definite. It's Iskrin. Your sight is. You don't know how to explain it. This, if there's a way to even say that, is deeper than the weave. This is almost close to the magic that you witnessed from the Frost Prince himself as this rune begins to connect and lines of power begin to outline on it as it gets bigger and larger and starts to spread out across. And Axel motions for everyone who's going to do it to step in, and each of you step across the threshold, and you can feel this deep coldness within you. And Axel completes the last line. And you are swept into almost like a fog. The whole village seems to be this deep, dense fog. You can't see each other anymore. You can't see the village. You can't see the buildings. Iskrin, you feel yourself being drawn toward the outskirts of the village. And you see there a farmer. And she's working the fields with her druidic magic. And just as soon as you see her, you get pulled into her. And you suddenly are this tiefling. And while you have no control over the body, you can see yourself manipulating the weave of nature, creating these furrows in the ground and druid crafting and coaxing crops. And that's when you notice him. There at the edge. Oh, that's not playing. Why is that not playing? Oh, I lost my song.
I hear one.
We're hearing it.
Whatever's happening now is still pretty creepy.
Like the really creepy one?
Are you hearing like the little tones?
Ding, ding,
Okay.
ding.
So that's so crazy. I can't hear it. Which
That
I'm
happens to me
going to need
sometimes,
to later, so just give me half a second while I reload my Roll20. Yes, it should sound like a music box.
Cool. So this is a fun thing that we're doing, right?
There it is.
Oh no, I'm very scared and creeped out. This is horrifying. I hate you so much.
Be a jam session.
Yeah, this is usual. Thought you watched these.
So yes, Axel, in the fog, you recognize this song that you had heard before, even on the material plane. But Iskrin, you get pulled forward into this farmer, and you look up, and your vision is now clear once you've entered the body. And it's almost just like you're living your life. You only have a faint sense of the weave around you as you're looking through her eyes and not your own, but it does give you a bit more more information than this woman would have had. And there, on the outskirts of the town, you see a tall, humanoid figure whose form seems to be blurred from not only this being's sight, but from your sight as well. But what you see from beyond and above him, this incredible, concentrated weave of magic, as though he's channeling something. And you see, with hands outspread from underneath his dark cloak, you see flowing out of him this almost liquefied magic paste flowing across the land, obscuring whatever is about to happen in this place.
He's going to pay.
This is gonna be fun.
Can I memorize his wave, his aura around him, just from this experience?
I would say, I mean, that's the thing, is you don't have enough of a sense of him because you don't have your own sight that you're working with here.
Okay, true.
You know, you're working with this other
Someone
person's
else's,
sight.
yeah.
So you don't have your normal insight that you normally would. Luna, you are pulled through the fog into a residence, and you see a tiefling male sort of over a countertop conjuring good berries, making maybe dinner or lunch or some snack of some kind. And you get pulled into this being, and again, then your sight is his, and you are in control of it, and you look over and you know enough of his thoughts. You see your wife beside the hearth, cooking, making up some sort of stew, and you hear her call out 2 names, and you see 2 children run in and sort of try to snatch a good berry from off the countertop in front of you as they run over to take their places at the table. Luck, you are pulled into the fog and into a residence and find yourself looking at a woman who's squatting down over top of a hearth preparing some type of meal, a tiefling woman, and you are pulled into her body and see with her sight. And as you finish this stew, you call out for 2 names, and 2 children run down the stairs. They try to snag a good berry from your husband's countertop where he's working before they go and sit down at the table getting ready for their meal. Kel, Cilia, and Iska, you all don't move very far. You just sort of coalesce. You see 3 children jumping rope, 2 spinning, 1 jumping, 2 boys and a girl. And you move into their bodies. And Kel, there's this feeling of nostalgia of this group of 3, 2 boys and a girl, tieflings all jumping rope. Normal afternoon day. Cilia, Niska, as you're spinning the rope, you're saying a little ditty, a little tune that you know, that you always jump rope to. This weird little tune as you jump your rope. Something that you've known pretty much all your life, was always kind of a joking little ditty that was meant to sort of be fun and scary and try to keep you, make sure you didn't miss the rope. Axel, you get pulled into another residence. You're sitting at a desk in front of a window. You're a learned man, a learned tiefling. You are pondering over the writings of Marat, this weird translation, this weird premonition that one of your members had almost a decade ago. And as you look at it, you know something is missing, but you can't seem to puzzle it together. Just about then, you hear a disturbance outside of the window, and you see those kids jumping rope again, who are always making far too much noise, but their heads all sort of pop up and look in one direction. Celia, Iska, Kel. On the edge of your village, you see red hooded figures, one at each roadway, beginning to walk into the village. There seems to be another sort of shorter, more slender of build, wearing midnight blue hooded robe. And from beneath that hood, it almost seems like you see the glinting of stars shimmering. It points their finger forward, and the red robes begin to move forward. And that's when you, Celia and Iska, notice Kel as he's jumping rope, or this other boy as he's jumping rope. It takes him a little bit longer to land. And then the next time he jumps, his feet don't touch the ground as he begins to float slowly up into the air. And your feet lift off the ground as you're trying to spin the rope. Axel, that's when you see it. Two things at once. You see these children playing jump rope, but how are they jumping that high? And like a spark in the window, inspiration of what you were thinking of with this vision. The city, the temples, the island, the shrines, everything was pointing to this one same place. You had found it. It's like a ghostly image in the window itself. But that's when you started to hear the screaming and the sound of leather wings, hundreds of them. Celia, Iska, Kel, you're floating into the air, and you see one of the village elders who's overworking in the farm. She is drifting up towards the sky, and that's when you see, or don't see, her arm gets ripped off, and the blood still continues to rise further into the air, leaving not even a drop of blood or a trace of blood. Everything, more wings start hovering in, and you see as two of your friends, one of this red-robed figure casts their hand into their house, and you see a spectral hand drag your two friends out and throw them into the sky, and followed by their mother and their father. And they all begin to float upward. And now there's almost this red cloud above as invisible nether wings descend upon these now floating tieflings. Arms, legs, torsos being ripped apart, and everything just floating upward. Axel, you hear the screams from within your place, and you begin to feel yourself being lifted from your desk and then slammed into the ceiling. Nothing else is lifted, just you. You think to yourself, not this way. The stories, they couldn't actually have been true, could they? But you see a loose nail, and you know somehow you have to pass on the last piece of Marat's visions, because without it, the mission after all these years, the mission of the Indigo Seed will fail if you can't somehow pass on this piece of information, and you begin scratching madly with a nail into the ceiling. You know you can't be caught. You hear doors slammed open from next to you as other people are thrown out of their houses. Screams, wails. Out your window, you see blood that should be falling like rain, but before it hits the ground, continues to rise higher and higher into the air. You hear someone coming for you, and you don't want them to see what you've done. You know you haven't finished, but you hope that you've got enough that someone, somewhere, they will find this and know. As a spectral hand reaches in, drags you slowly, takes you out into the center of the square, and lets you go. And all you can think of as you slowly drift upward is the words of that little ditty. Feeders on the road, my oh my. Feeders in the town, throw you in the sky. Feeders on your street, I'm not gonna lie. Feeders in your house, it's time to die. I need all of you to make a death saving throw.